We hear the word hallelujah everywhere. It's in pop songs, it's in movies, it's exclamation point at the end of a good meal. But when you actually sit down with the source material, specifically this block of psalms known as the Hallel, it feels less like a polite cheer and more like a revolution. It's intense.
It is intense, and you're right, hallelujah has been domesticated, but when you look at Psalms 111 through 118, you aren't seeing a passive religious ritual, you are seeing a restructuring of reality. These texts were recited during the Passover, arguably the most charged moment in Israel's history. It's a journey from total desperation to absolute triumph, but it doesn't happen the way you'd expect.
That's what struck me reading through this. It starts with this very structured, almost rigid praise in Psalms 111 and 112. They feel like twin towers.
Exactly. They are acrostic poems. Every line starts with a successive letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's deliberate order. But the fascinating thing is the mirror effect. Psalm 111 describes God. He is gracious, full of compassion, and his righteousness endures forever. Then, Psalm 112 describes the human who fears God. And guess what? That human is described with the exact same traits. Gracious, compassionate, righteousness, enduring forever.
So it's suggesting that if you actually get close to this source, you start looking like it?
Precisely. It's the principle of beholding and becoming. But then the camera angle shifts dramatically in Psalm 113. We go from this high theology down to the dust. Literally. It says God stoops down to look at the heavens and the earth, and he raises the poor from the dust and the needy from the ash heap to sit them with princes.
That's a massive social reversal. It reminds me of how we obsess over hierarchy today. Who has the corner office? Who has the blue checkmark? But this text is saying the Creator ignores that hierarchy completely.
He doesn't just ignore it, he flips it, and that leads into Psalm 114, which is honestly one of the most surreal descriptions of the Exodus. It describes the mountains skipping like rams and the hills like lambs. It's almost cinematic.
I loved that imagery. It's like nature itself is having a panic attack because God showed up. Jordan, why did you turn back? Mountains, why are you jumping? It's humorous but terrifying.
It is. It's showing that the physical world is more responsive to spiritual reality than we are. The rocks know who the boss is. But then we hit the sharpest turn in the collection, Psalm 115. This is where the text stops being polite and starts throwing punches at the culture.
You mean the part about the idols? They have mouths but do not speak, eyes but do not see.
It's biting satire. In the ancient world, idols were the technology of the day. They were how you controlled your environment, guaranteed rain, guaranteed harvest, but the psalmist mocks them as dead matter, and then he drops the hammer. Those who make them become like them.
That is a haunting line. Those who make them become like them. It makes you wonder about our modern idols. We don't carve statues, but we have our own glowing rectangles. If we worship algorithms that don't feel, do we lose our ability to feel?
That is the philosophical question of our age, isn't it? If you worship money, you become a transaction. If you worship power, you become a tyrant. You become as hollow as the thing you chase. The Hallel argues that only by worshiping the living God do you actually stay alive.
Speaking of staying alive, Psalm 116 gets incredibly personal. It's not about nations anymore. It's one person saying, "The cords of death entangled me." It feels like a near-death experience.
It is the dark night of the soul. The writer says, I was brought low, and he saved me. It's raw vulnerability. He even admits, I said in my haste, all men are liars. We've all been there, right? That moment of total cynicism where you trust no one.
Oh, absolutely. When everything falls apart, it's easy to say the system is rigged and everyone is fake. But he doesn't stay there. He pivots to gratitude. What shall I render to the Lord for all his benefits?
And that gratitude propels us into the finale, Psalm 118. This is the crescendo. It's the psalm Martin Luther called his beloved psalm. It contains that famous line, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone.
I wanted to ask you about that. In a construction context, the builders know what they're doing. If they reject a stone, it's usually because it's flawed. Why is this significant?
Because it's the ultimate subversion of human expertise. The experts, the builders, the cultural architects look at God's choice and say, that's useless, that doesn't fit our narrative. But God says, that rejected piece, that's the foundation of my entire kingdom. It's a message for anyone who feels rejected or marginalized. The world's trash is God's treasure.
That changes the whole tone of the ending. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I usually see that on coffee mugs with a sunrise, but in context, it sounds more like a battle cry after surviving a war.
It is a battle cry. It's spoken by someone who is surrounded by enemies like bees, as the text says, and yet survived. The day isn't just a sunny Tuesday, it's the day of salvation. It's the realization that despite the idols, despite the death cords, despite the rejection of the powerful, life has triumphed.
It really frames gratitude as an act of defiance, doesn't it? Thank you for breaking this down. It's startling how a text so old can read like a commentary on modern resilience.
It reminds us that the human story hasn't changed much. We still build idols, we still fear death, and we still need a cornerstone that the world didn't see coming.
A powerful place to leave it. To our listeners, maybe take a look at what you're building your life on today. Is it the stone the builders rejected, or something that can't see or hear? Thanks for listening. God bless.